You know, I've eaten eggs almost every single morning for the last 40 years. Scrambled, boiled, poached, you name it. I grew up on them. My mom used to say, start your day with something strong, not sweet, and for us, that meant eggs sizzling in a cast iron skillet before the sun was even up. But something happened a few years ago that made me stop cold. I went in for a regular checkup, just one of those better safe than sorry visits. The doctor looked at my numbers and then looked me dead in the eye and said, Benrier, now we need to have a serious talk about your eggs. At first, I laughed. I thought he was joking. I mean, it's just eggs, right? A breakfast classic, a staple of the American morning. But what he told me that day changed the way I think about food and aging forever. So let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered if the eggs you're eating might be doing you more harm than good? Have you ever stood in the grocery aisle, staring at cartons that say organic, omega-3, free range, cage-free, pasture-raised, and thought, what the heck is the difference anyway? Which ones are worth it? Which ones are hype? And are any of them actually dangerous, especially for folks like us, over 60? If any of those questions have ever crossed your mind, you're in the right place. Because in this episode, we're going to break it all down, plain and simple. First, we'll uncover which eggs are truly good for seniors, based on the latest science and decades of experience. Then, we'll talk about 3 common mistakes that can actually turn a good egg into a bad choice, especially if you're managing your heart, cholesterol, or digestion. And finally, I'll share a small habit, something I learned from an old Navy buddy in his 80s, that changed how I eat eggs to this very day. So stick around. You might just rethink your next breakfast. And hey, if you're still with me right now, drop a quick comment with the number 21, so I know you're here. I'd love to hear if you're an everyday egg eater like me. Let's get started. Let me ask you something simple. Have you ever looked at a dozen brown eggs and a dozen white ones and thought, well, brown must be healthier, right? That used to be me, too. I'd walk through the grocery store, see that little carton of brown eggs labeled farm fresh, and think, yep, that's the good stuff. Turns out, I couldn't have been more wrong. See, the color of an eggshell doesn't actually tell you anything about nutrition. That's right, white eggs, brown eggs, even those light blue ones from fancy heritage hens, they all have pretty much the same nutrient profile. What really matters isn't the shell, it's where the egg comes from, and how the hen was raised. I learned that the hard way a few years back. My friend George, 74 years old, Army veteran, proud as they come, decided to eat healthier. So he switched from white supermarket eggs to some brown ones from a discount store that had the word natural on the carton. He figured brown meant organic, and natural meant clean and good. But a week later, George started having stomach issues, bloating, cramping, and one bad night that landed him in urgent care. And guess what the doctor said? The bad eggs probably came from a large-scale operation with poor refrigeration. See, the term natural on a label means almost nothing in the U.S. when it comes to eggs. And brown eggs, they just come from a different breed of hen. That's it. No magic. The real difference, the difference that matters, is in how those hens are raised. Were they stuck in cages all day, fed low-quality grain, and kept under artificial lights? Or were they allowed to roam on pasture, pecking at bugs and grass in the sunlight? Because here's the truth. Eggs from pasture-raised hens tend to have higher omega-3s, more vitamin D, and lower risk of contamination. Organic eggs go one step further, no synthetic pesticides in the feed, no antibiotics. It's not just a feel-good choice, it's a better-for-your-body choice. And I'll be honest, once I made the switch to buying pasture-raised eggs from a small local farm, I felt the difference, not just in taste, but in how my gut handled breakfast. So here's my advice, from one old-timer to another. Don't get distracted by shell color. Don't fall for marketing fluff like farm fresh or natural. Look for the real labels. Pasture-raised, certified organic, grade A. And if you can, support a local farm. Get to know where your food comes from. It might cost a couple bucks more, but I'd rather pay that at the grocery store than at the hospital. Now I'm curious, where do you usually get your eggs? Do you buy from the supermarket, a farmer's market, or maybe you've got your own chickens? Drop a quick comment and just write farm if you've ever had a fresh egg straight from the coop. All right, up next, we're talking about the types of eggs that are actually good for your brain, your eyes, and your heart as you age. And no, it's not always the ones you think. Stick with me, I'll be honest with you. There was a time I thought all eggs were the same. I didn't care if it said omega-3, enriched, or whatever marketing term they slapped on the box. Eggs were eggs. Crack it, fry it, eat it. But that changed the day I sat down with a friend of mine, Dr. Tim, a retired family doctor in his late 60s. He told me something that stuck with me. He said, "What you eat after 60 doesn't just feed your belly, it feeds your brain." That hit home, and he showed me a study, nothing complicated, just something that tracks seniors who added omega-3 enriched eggs to their breakfast for 6 weeks. The results? Better focus, clearer memory, fewer of those. Where did I put my keys? Moments. That got me curious, so I did some digging. And here's what I found out. Not all eggs are created equal. Some are truly powerful tools for aging well. Let's start with omega-3 eggs. These come from hens fed a diet rich in flaxseed or algae. They're packed with omega-3 fatty acids, nutrients your body can't make on its own but desperately needs. And if you're trying to protect your heart, reduce inflammation, or just keep your memory sharp, omega-3s are gold. Next up, free-range or pasture-raised eggs. These are eggs from chickens allowed to roam outdoors, eat bugs, soak up the sun. That freedom gives their eggs more vitamin D, more vitamin E, and often a richer, darker yolk, almost orange instead of yellow. I always say, when it comes to yolks, darker usually means better. Now, I know some folks ask me about our duck eggs. Bigger, creamier, great for baking, but here's the thing. They're also higher in cholesterol. So if you've got heart issues or high LDL levels, you'll want to limit those. Here's where it gets interesting. There are key nutrients in eggs that don't just fill you up. They half fuel your brain. Ever heard of one choline? It's like motor oil for your memory. Helps with brain cell communication and may reduce your risk of cognitive decline. One egg contains about 150 milligrams of it, almost 30% of what you need in a day. Then there's lutein. Great for your eyes. Helps protect against macular degeneration, which, let's face it, more of us deal with past 65. And don't forget vitamin B12 wash. Many seniors are low on it, and that leads to fatigue, brain fog, and even nerve issues. Guess where you can get a good dose of it? Naturally, that's right, eggs. Let me tell you what happened with Dr. Tim's mom. She was 84, a sweet lady with silver hair, always smiling. But lately she'd been forgetting names, even her grandkids. They thought it was just aging, but Tim adjusted her breakfast. 2 soft-boiled omega-3 eggs with a slice of avocado toast every morning. Nothing fancy. Within a few weeks, her clarity improved. Not overnight, of course, but enough that she remembered her favorite hymns again. It wasn't magic. It was nutrition. Gentle, steady, brain-supporting food. That story made me change my breakfast habits too. Now, almost every morning, I scramble 2 omega-3 eggs with spinach and a touch of turmeric. It's simple, but it makes me feel like I'm giving my body and my mind a fighting chance. So, if you've ever wondered whether it's worth it to spend that extra dollar on a better egg, I'd say yes, especially when you're over 60. Your body is more selective. Your digestion, your memory, even your mood, they're all more sensitive to what you feed them. And remember, when you eat better, you think better. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever stood there in front of the fridge, confused by all the egg labels? Omega-3, pasture-raised, cage-free, grade AA. It's a jungle out there. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, comment the number DOR below. And if enough of you do, I'll make a short bonus video breaking down every label, what matters, and what's just marketing fluff in the next part. We're going to dive into something people rarely talk about: how certain cooking habits or storage mistakes can quietly turn a healthy egg into a risky one for folks our age. And yes, I learned that lesson the hard way. Don't miss it. Now, we've talked about the good side of eggs, but you know how life is. There's always another side of the coin. And when it comes to eggs, especially for those of us over 60, how you handle and cook them can make the difference between a healthy breakfast and a stomach ache that ruins your whole day. Let me start with something that surprised even me. Did you know that if you boil an egg too long, until the yolk turns grayish-green, it can actually create a small amount of a toxic gas called nitrogenous hydrogen sulfide? It sounds dramatic. I know, but it's true. That green ring around the yolk isn't just ugly. It's a sign that the sulfur in the egg white has reacted with the iron in the yolk. In small amounts, it probably won't hurt you. But for seniors with sensitive digestion or underlying issues, that buildup over time can lead to bloating, nausea, or just a general feeling of ugh after eating. That's just one example. Let me tell you about another. This one hit a little closer to home. My neighbor, Miss Lorraine, sweet lady, 79 years old, loves to cook. Every Sunday, she makes this big batch of egg salad, creamy. With a little dill and paprika, she'd keep it in the fridge and nibble on it all week. One day, she told me she felt off, bloated, crampy, dizzy. I asked if she'd eaten anything different. No, she said, just the same egg salad I made last Sunday. It had been in her fridge for 6 days. Turns out, egg dishes don't last that long, even when refrigerated, especially when they're mixed with mayo or dairy. She ended up with a mild case of salmonella poisoning. Thankfully, she recovered, but the doctor warned her. Our immune systems weaken with age. What your stomach could handle at 40 might knock you down at 75. The third danger? Frying eggs in too much oil or butter. I know. There's nothing quite like the crispy edges of a fried egg swimming in bacon grease. But here's the truth. That kind of cooking floods your system with saturated fats. And for seniors, that can mean clogged arteries, higher LDL cholesterol, and more pressure on your heart. A little oil is fine, but try olive oil instead of butter or bacon fat. And keep the heat medium, not blasting hot. That way, you preserve the nutrients and protect your heart. So, to sum it up, there are 3 things that can quietly turn eggs into a problem for older adults. 1. Overcooking, which creates unwanted chemical reactions in the yolk. 2. Leaving egg-based dishes out too long, which opens the door for bacteria. 3. Frying with too much saturated fat, which stresses your heart and arteries. And remember, our bodies change as we age. We don't process fat the same way. We don't fight off bacteria the same way. And our digestion isn't quite as forgiving as it once was. That doesn't mean we have to give up the foods we love. It just means we've got to get a little smarter about how we prepare them. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had a bad reaction to an egg dish? Maybe something sat out too long? Or maybe a recipe just didn't sit right with your stomach? Share your story in the comments. I read everyone. And honestly, your experience might help someone else avoid a rough day. Coming up next, we're diving into one of the most confusing parts of this whole egg conversation: cholesterol. Is it really that dangerous? Or have we misunderstood the science for decades? Stick around. The answer might surprise you. All right, so far, we've talked about which eggs are good and which habits can make them risky. But now it's time to crack open one of the biggest myths of all, and that is cholesterol. Remember back in the 80s and 90s? Everything was low-fat, cholesterol-free, and heart-healthy meant throwing your eggs in the trash and eating dry toast with margarine. We were told eggs will clog your arteries. And so, we listened. Some of us gave up eggs completely. But now, if you read the news, you're hearing the exact opposite. Suddenly, experts are saying 1 egg a day is okay. So which is it? Well, here's the truth, and I promise to make it simple. There's a big difference between cholesterol in food and what you eat, and cholesterol in your blood, what your body does with it. Eggs do contain cholesterol. A large egg has about 185 milligrams, all in the yolk. But for most healthy people, eating cholesterol-rich foods doesn't automatically raise the cholesterol in your blood. Why? Because your liver already produces cholesterol on its own, if you eat less of it, your liver makes more. If you eat more of it, your liver usually makes less. It's a balancing act. Now, that said, things get more complicated as we get older. Some of us, especially with a family history of heart disease, may be hyper-responders. That means our bodies do absorb more cholesterol from food. But even then, research shows that eating eggs in moderation, one per day, is safe for the majority of older adults. Here's where we need to talk about HDL and LDL. You've probably heard of them. Good and bad cholesterol. HDL is the helpful kind. It carries cholesterol away from your arteries. LDL is the one to watch. It can build up and form plaque. Eggs tend to raise HDL1, the good kind. And in most people, they don't significantly raise LDL. In some, they might slightly bump up LDL, but even then, they also increase the size of LDL particles, making them less dangerous. Now let me tell you about Tony. Tony is 82, a retired firefighter, big guy, still chops his own firewood in the fall. But for 20 years, he didn't touch eggs, not one. He said, "Doc told me back in '94, eggs were heart stoppers, so I switched to oatmeal and grapefruit." But over time, Tony felt tired, weak, foggy-headed by mid-morning. Last year, his new doctor, young guy, early 40s, asked him, "Tony, what's your protein in the morning?" Tony shrugged. "I don't eat much protein before noon." The doc said, "That's the problem." So Tony started adding one soft-boiled egg to his breakfast. Just one. He told me, "I felt sharper in a week, more stable, like my body had fuel again." See, for seniors, protein in the morning helps stabilize blood sugar, maintain muscle mass, and yes, support brain function. And eggs, they're one of the easiest ways to get high-quality protein, plus vitamins B12 and D, all in a soft, easy-to-digest package. So what's the takeaway? Unless your doctor tells you otherwise, one egg a day is perfectly fine for most seniors. The key is the big picture, your overall lifestyle, diet, activity level, and family history. Don't fear the yolk, fear the sugar, fear the processed junk, but eggs, in moderation, they're a gift. So let me ask you this. Have you ever cut out eggs completely because of cholesterol worries? If you have, comment Jun Tung below. I want to know how many of us followed that old advice and whether you've come back around since. In the final part coming up, I'll share how I personally prepare eggs now and a trick I learned from an 86-year-old Navy vet that made all the difference in how I feel after breakfast. You won't want to miss it. You know, for most of my life, I thought eggs were just a breakfast thing. Fry them, scramble them, maybe boil a few if I was feeling fancy, eat and move on. But that changed when I met Jack. Jack is 86 years old, retired Navy man, sharp as a tack, still walks 2 miles every morning, still remembers everyone's birthday in the neighborhood, and never misses a crossword puzzle. One day, I asked him, "Jack, what's your secret?" He grinned and said, "On same breakfast, same routine, same promise I made to my wife before she passed, 2 eggs a day, prepared the way she did." Turns out, his wife used to steam their eggs, kind of like a Japanese-style custard, soft, gentle, filled with chopped spinach, a pinch of turmeric, and just a drizzle of olive oil. Not only was it delicious, but it was easy to digest, light on the stomach, and full of anti-inflammatory goodness. And from that moment, I started thinking, maybe we've been underestimating the humble egg. So let me share with you a few simple, smart ways to enjoy eggs in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Ways that are easy on the body, kind to the heart, and nourishing to the mind. First, for breakfast, try a soft-boiled egg. Not hard-boiled till the yolk turns chalky, but just 6.5 minutes in boiling water. The yolk stays soft and creamy, rich in nutrients like choline and lutein. I like to pair it with a slice of whole grain toast, maybe half an avocado, and a sprinkle of sea salt. It keeps me full until lunch without that heavy, sluggish feeling. For lunch, how about a one light egg salad one? But not the kind drenched in mayo and mystery spices. I'm talking chopped boiled eggs, mashed avocado instead of mayonnaise, mixed with fresh parsley, a bit of lemon juice, and served on a bed of greens. It's refreshing, full of healthy fats, and gentle on the digestive system. For sure. For dinner or a light supper, consider steamed eggs, like Jack does. Beat 2 eggs with warm water, a dash of low-sodium soy sauce, and pour it into a ramekin. Steam it for 10-12 minutes. The texture is silky, like custard, and it's incredibly soothing, especially on cold nights. Now here's the real trick. Whatever style you choose, try adding fresh herbs, like parsley or cilantro, a pinch of turmeric for inflammation, and instead of butter, go with a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. It helps your body absorb those fat-soluble vitamins better. And don't underestimate how food makes you feel emotionally. For Jack, eating eggs the way his wife made them is more than nutrition. It's a memory, a connection. And maybe that's part of what keeps him sharp. He's feeding more than just his body. So here's my invitation to you. Take a look at how you're preparing your eggs. Are you treating them like just another item on your plate, or like a daily gift to your body? Because when you reach a certain age, every meal is a chance to send your body a message. I'm still taking care of you. You still matter. Now I'd love to hear from you. Trikinne, how do you like your eggs? Poached, over easy, baked into a frittata? Comment your favorite style below, and who knows? I just might try it and give you a shout out in the next episode. And in just a minute, we'll wrap up everything we've learned today. Plus, I've got one last piece of advice, especially for those of you managing heart issues or diabetes. Don't go anywhere. All right, friend, we've covered a lot today. And if you're still here with me, that tells me something powerful. You care, not just about what you eat, but about how you age, how you feel, and how you show up for this chapter of life. So let's take a moment to bring it all together. First, remember, not all eggs are created equal. It's not about the color of the shell or the size of the carton. It's about where the egg comes from, how the hen was raised, what she ate, and how that translates into nutrition for your body. Source matters. Cholesterol in eggs? Not the villain we once thought. The science has changed, and for most healthy older adults, 1 egg a day can be part of a heart-conscious, brain-supporting diet. It's not about fear, it's about balance. In third, eggs can be one of the smartest, most nourishing foods for folks over 60 if you prepare them the right way. Boiled, steamed, gently scrambled in olive oil, paired with leafy greens or avocado. Simple, comforting, and so good for your body. I'll say it this way. Eggs aren't just a meal. For many of us, they're a daily opportunity to feel better, think clearer, and show ourselves a little care first thing in the morning. Now, I'd love to hear from you. If you found this episode helpful, or it sparked a new idea, or maybe reminded you of a favorite recipe, leave a comment and tell me, how do you like your eggs? Do you eat them daily? Avoid the yolks? Have a special preparation you've passed down through your family? Because this community, it's full of wisdom, and I'd love to learn from you just as much as you're learning here. And one last thing before we go. Hunter, have you ever changed your mind about a food once you learned the truth? Maybe you gave up eggs out of fear, or avoided something that turned out to be good for you all along. Tell me your story in the comments. I read every single one. Oh, and before I forget, I'm pinning a special bonus tip at the top of the comments section. It's a little trick I picked up from a cardiologist, a breakfast tweak that can help support heart health for folks over 65. Don't miss it. It's simple, doable, and might just become your new morning favorite. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, it's never too late to feel better than yesterday.